Hello guys, welcome back. Andrew Gamer GTA here with another Sims 4 video. Now today, I've got a bit of an interesting video. Now, today, um, I will be discussing some topics about what The Sims 4 could have done at its current release date. As you all know, The Sims 4 released on September the 2nd of 2014, so over a decade now, and since then, it has been in a pretty bad state, especially now, with its best state being in 2022 when Werewolves released. And it's been kind of been on a downhill streak uh, ever since that time. Now, since it is the newest game in the series, and it probably will be the the last game in the series, since we have no word or update on The Sims 5. All I know is that The Sims 5 has pretty much been discontinued, and it will probably never be released. Since, well, they have what's called Project Renee, which just appears to be a mobile online game where you're going to be controlling very cartoony looking Sims. They're not even called Sims. That's the thing about it. Like, the whole franchise about this thing is Sims. You play with life, and you get to experience life in a video game. That's literally what it is. But it's like the franchise is taking like a whole different turn, and people consider it The Sims 5, but it's really not, because it's not called that. It's called a completely different project. It's literally Project Renee, but it's not even The Sims 5. So, what is this game going to be about? Is it going to be about Sims? What are the people going to be called? I don't know, and that's kind of weird. You would think that the Sims team, EA, would just continue the franchise with The Sims 5, but no, they're not. Something that I didn't even talk about very much, and this has been going on for quite a few weeks, is that The Sims 4 has been basically bought out, has been sold out to a Saudi Arabia company that I don't even know about what it is, and it's been a little concerning as it's a private investor that they are being sold to. So basically meaning that whatever is going on in the company is going to be completely private, and people are not going to know what's going to be happening behind the scenes, which is really not a good look for the Sims team, because we, as your customers, are going to want to know what's going on behind your scenes. We're going to want more transparency, and you guys are doing the opposite. So that's not very good. We want to know what's going on, but you are basically selling your game and your whole company to private investors, and you guys are becoming private. That's not a good look. That's not good at all. That's really, really, really bad. And we, as your customers, completely disagree with what you're doing. Um, I just hope that they go back on this sell. Uh, I have heard people say that it's confirmed, though, unfortunately, so we're not going to be able to really persuade them from stopping this, because I think it's confirmed, although not sure, not 100% positive. But even if so, yeah, it's a bad look. Even if they do cancel it, we are going to be really. We're going to have a sense of betrayal, as the fact that, well, we're going to be having this in the future. Like, we're going to understand that we're going to be betrayed like this for a while, since you had the guts to even have the sellout in the first place. It shows how incompetent you are. It shows how greedy you are, because the sellout was also $55 million. So, actually, was it 55 million or 55 billion? Actually, I think it was $55 billion. So, yeah, that's not cheap. That's very much. That's quite a sum of money right there. And it's to very bad investors as well. It's not just a private investor company that they're selling it to from Saudi Arabia, but they're also making it to where it's private, like I said. So it's a private investor who is also not very competent themselves. So we add those things combined, that's not a very good look. That's very, very, very bad. Also, The Sims 4 in general, in my opinion, for being the latest game, while there has been, quite a few decent changes in the recent years, there was quite a few missed opportunities, even back in release. Uh, for one, why do Sims not have a hydration need? And I'm not just talking about mermaids either. I'm talking about every single type of sim. Because as we in real life people need to have fluids in our body and stay hydrated, otherwise we aren't going to be able to function normally. And there should be a hydration need. It should be right next to their hunger need, and they should have at least a seventh need of hydration. To where if they drink certain fluids or certain fruits that have hydration properties or fluids in their chemicals in the drink or food product that they eat, uh, their hydration need will go up. And for Sims 4 being the most, you know, recent game in the franchise, which is not very recent anymore, they could have added so many more details too. For example, they should have added a unique detail for Sims for when they are peeing and using the toilet. They should have added a detail depending on their hydration need. So if their hydration need is high, their pee will look like a pale yellow, like it's very very hydrated. So like in real life. But if they are very dehydrated and if they do not have enough fluids in their system, their pee or urine color will shift to a more dark yellow or brown color. And that would be more of a sign of dehydration. Another thing that they could have added was the fact that I get the fact that the Sims 4's art style is supposed to be cartoony and it's supposed to be slightly realistic at the same time, but I feel like they could have just done more. You know, like look at Inzoi for example, which is another life simulation game, not by the Sims team or the EA, but by Krafton, which is the same developers as PUBG or Players Unknown Battlegrounds for the long term, which is the battle royale game that everyone plays, and it's very similar to Fortnite. But they made a life simulation game, and they wanted their graphics to look more like real life. So they toned up the graphics, and it looks very modern and it looks very realistic. But The Sims 4 has a very unique art style that looks more cartoony compared to actually looking real, and I do get that. But I feel like a lot of people wanted The Sims 4 to look more realistic compared to The Sims 3 or The Sims 2. But The Sims 4 kind of kept a different slash more similar art style to the previous games. And I get why they did that. They wanted to make a consistent appeal to the audience, but they didn't really nail the appeal to the audience very much, as they wanted to actually have a better looking game. They wanted to have better graphics. So, unfortunately, they kept the same appeal, and most of their audience wanted a different art style without them knowing, or they just were blinded to see it. So as a result, a lot of simmers aren't very happy with Sims 4's graphics and art style because they wanted a better graphical uh, evolution to the franchise, and unfortunately that wasn't the case. So it is what it is, and Sims 4 is still a decent game in my opinion, although it's riddled with bugs and a lot of the pre-existing issues are still here in the game as I'm recording this. There has been no major patch ever since the November 4th patch, which did fix a lot of things, but they also didn't They also left a lot of things out, especially for pre-existing saves, so they did not really nail the head in the coffin, or the nail in the coffin really well, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's not really, uh, what's the word? Uh, the patch went well, but it didn't fix a lot of the issues. And a lot of issues that they said that they did fix aren't actually fixed. So yeah, it's kind of, it's really sad if you think about it. Um, and The Sims 4 was one of my favorite games, and to see it in such a bad state just makes me sad. It really does. And not just me either, but a lot of other people as well are completely, saddened and gutted that this game is in its current state. This game should be in its prime state. It should be zero bugs, or very few, if any. And the bugs that are in the game shouldn't be that severe. Like, one of the major issues I was having, which just completely is unacceptable for any type of freaking game, okay, is literally the inability to have your settings save when you apply them. So, I was having an issue, not just me, several other people were having this issue too, where your settings would reset every single time you would leave the game, and you would close the game and launch the game, and then when you came back into the game, it is as if you didn't apply your settings at all, because your settings are completely reset and they are defaulted. Thankfully, this issue has since been fixed, but to even have this issue in the game to begin with completely shows a lack of trust or lack of contentment from the developers. An issue like this is completely game breaking. It should not be in any type of game. Period. Any game should allow you to make your settings preferable and comfortable without worrying about them resetting or completely deleting themselves, basically. And the only way to bypass this issue before it was fixed was to go into your game without your internet on, which is completely dumbfounded. And not to mention, the event that was playing during this, which was the Nature's Calling event, which was with the Enchanted by Nature expansion pack, you would not be able to progress through. So they actually had to extend it so that they can fix the game to allow the players to actually earn the rewards from the event, which I'm glad that they did that, but that's still no excuse for them to have these kinds of issues in the game to begin with. I mean, this issue alone, like, sure, I'm happy that it was fixed, but it should have never been in the game to begin with. Especially this kind of issue right here. Not to mention, like, they should have never added that. Another thing too is I want to go on with this pack selection feature that came a few patches ago, as a result of a major update. I think it came out the same day that they fixed the settings resetting issue, which was on August 19th. Let me explain this pack selection feature. Basically, they wanted to make it to where you can disable any packs that you just want to disable for newer saves, or you can enable packs if you want for current and ongoing saves. But more importantly, they do recommend here that you make sure that you have a new save at the ready, and if you just want to completely start off fresh. So, for example, they don't recommend having packs active and disabling packs on current saves. So, for example, if you have vampires on a save, and if you disable vampires and go onto that save again, it's going to say that you have packs disabled that you have on that save, and you're going to get the option to either load it up without the pack, or you can select the pack and actually enable it. Now, the problem with this feature was the fact that it was completely broken. What a surprise, right? No, not really. So where do I even go with this? First of all, um, a lot of the time it doesn't even work, and when it does, your game is going to break, and not just like engineerically, but also uh, in the sense of crashing. So if you try to disable your packs and then re-enable them later, you're going to be waiting a long time to actually reinstall those packs again, or not reinstall them, but you can play with base game now, which I guess is a plus. So you can like literally disable all the packs and go to base game if you want. The only way to do that before was to delete your game from your console storage and actually reinstall it without the packs. That was literally the only way to actually play with base game before on console. Of course, on PC with the EA app, you could do this using the commands in the app, the commands on the EA app you could use to disable certain packs. Uh, but there was no way of doing this on console before, so you could do it on console now, which is pretty cool, I suppose. But it doesn't really work as intended. It does have a few issues, as I just said, but it was a good idea and a good concept. It just wasn't really well uh, fleshed out. In other words, great concept, but they didn't really. It was very poor execution. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's the phrase. So, great concept, poor execution, very poor execution, um, and that's just the sad of it. Now, back onto the description earlier, or the topic earlier I was discussing, with details with your Sims hydration need that could have been added in The Sims 4 upon launch, base game launch, and not just Mermaid Sims either, um, where, like I said earlier, with the P color changes, uh, your Sims' eyes could also change too, to where if they are very dehydrated, their eyes will look more pale and they would look more dry, and your sim would blink more often as a result of eye strain and eye dryness. But if they are well hydrated, their eyes would look more lubricated and more healthy, and they would blink at a normal amount. And also, if The Sims 4 is the most recent game, it should be the most realistic, right? Why not have the Sims' eyes dilate and constrict when they're in certain environments? Like, come on. Like, during night, their pupils would dilate in the darker environment, while during the day, if they are in a building, they would be a normal amount, but if they were outside in the sun, they would constrict to basically mimic how real life eyes work. I mean, seriously, they could have gone the whole 9 yards here, but they did not. So, it's really depressing to see how The Sims 4 was executed and how it was poorly did, unfortunately, and how The Sims 4's current state is right now. And it really does suck. As it is still one of my favorite games. I play it almost all the time. And to see it in such a current state and what could have been is kind of sad to me. It really is. Um, like all of the potential ideas and all the potential details that could have been included in The Sims 4 but weren't is really depressing to me. It really, really is. But unfortunately, that's just how the Sims team is, and I don't think they're ever going to fix The Sims 4, or at least to a point to where they can actually be comfortable enough, or even be competent enough to actually call it The Sims 4 and actually give it the reputation that it deserves, and not the reputation that it has right now. Uh, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, peace out.